Hello, everyone. My last two videos shared proof the Old and New Testaments are accurate, as well as scientists' acknowledgement of that accuracy. Today, let's answer two final questions of Bible skeptics. First, has the Bible been altered in any way? And second, is God's love enough to save us, so really knowing the Bible isn't necessary? Question 1. Has the Bible been altered? In England, in the 1600s, the Puritans asked King James to translate the Bible into English so everyone would be able to read it. The king agreed and chose 54 Bible scholars to take on that task. He divided them into 6 groups and told them to translate their assigned sections of the Bible into English. Group 1 translated Genesis to 2 Kings. Group 2, 1 Chronicles to Song of Solomon. Group 3, Isaiah to Malachi. Group 4, the Apocrypha. Group 5, the Gospels, Acts, and Revelation. And Group 6, all the epistles. No annotations or median notes were allowed to be part of the translation. When the council finished their work, here's the good news. The Bible remained as close to the original as possible. Now let's see if anyone removed anything from the Bible or altered it. You might be as shocked as I was to hear what I am about to tell you. The only person who ever removed books from the Bible was Martin Luther. As a monk, Luther was a dedicated Catholic until he read Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. Quote, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." Those words thankfully moved Luther to action. The Catholic Church was, at the time, selling indulgences as a way to forgive sins. But the Ephesians verses taught Luther salvation is a free gift, and it is. His challenge of the Catholic Church in that regard nearly cost him his life. Later, he made his way to the book of James, written by the brother of Jesus, and read in James chapter 2, verses 14 to 26, that faith alone is not enough, because faith without works is dead, and a dead faith is not a saved faith. Luther couldn't reconcile what seemed to be a contradiction between the writings of Paul in Ephesians and those of James. So he decided to remove any book from the Bible that didn't agree with his Ephesians theology. Luther's first translation of the Bible to German led him to remove 25 books, including Genesis through Deuteronomy, the Jewish Torah that young boys, including Jesus, were required to memorize. He also removed Esther, Job, Ecclesiastes, Jonah, books of the Apocrypha, Matthew, Luke, John, Acts, and Romans. Later, though, he finally only removed the books of Hebrew, James, Jude, and Revelation. That is why those books are basically not taught in Lutheran churches today. I know because I spent 50 years in the Lutheran Church. Luther's friends did not approve of what he was doing. Neither did Protestants who came along later. So, the version Luther chose was rejected by the Council of King James, and the Bible remains intact today and in line with the Dead Sea Scrolls and the many New Testament manuscripts, 5,000 Greek and 8,000 Latin, minus the Apocrypha. That can be found only in the Catholic Bible. Now, let's answer question number 2. Does God's love and our doing good get us into heaven? Being good, getting baptized and confirmed, and going to church regularly do not get anyone into heaven. Let me repeat that. Being good, getting baptized and confirmed, and going to church regularly does not get anyone into heaven. Luther simply didn't understand what Paul and James said. Both writers are actually right. Salvation by faith alone is a free gift from God and is sealed with us forever if we die shortly after we're saved. But if we live beyond our acceptance of Christ as our Savior, then James is right. Many times throughout the Bible, Jesus tells us our faith has to grow and requires us to obey God and complete the work He created for us to do. If one doesn't do those things, James is absolutely right. Our faith is dead, and a dead faith will not get anyone to heaven. The word obey is found 69 times in the Bible, and the word obedient is found 12 times. Jesus spoke these words, "Why do you call me Lord and don't do what I say?" And, "Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." Do those words of Jesus say, as long as you're good, you'll get to heaven? Do they say, as long as you accept Christ as your Savior, you'll get to heaven? Does it say, as long as you are baptized, confirmed, and go to church, you'll get to heaven? Absolutely not. You not only have to accept Christ, but after that, you have to grow. Growth comes from obedience, and obedience leads us to work. Works don't save anyone. God's grace does that. But if grace is followed by no thanks, and thus no works, there is no salvation. That's biblical. Finally, regarding deletions from the Bible, Protestants deleted the Apocrypha, which Catholics kept. Protestants also deleted some Old Testament texts that the Jews did not include in the scrolls. The bottom line is this: what remains in the Bible today is actually absolutely accurate, according to both Hebrew and Greek manuscripts. Thank you for listening. I pray that after 3 videos proving the Bible is indeed God's inspired word, you will finally read it from cover to cover. It's the best thing I ever did, and then secure it in your heart. See you next week, where we will talk about ways in which we need to do what? Obey God. Many blessings till then.